Hello, everyone. This is Jeremiah from Spellstorm Miniatures. Dan and I took a break from recording during the holidays, but we have an episode recorded for you that we'd like to share with you. And it's a special episode because we have members from the Hillsborough Underground with us. And I'm particularly excited about it because these are the guys who I learned how to play War Machine from. They were the ones who introduced me to the game and invited me over to their game nights. And it's a joy just to be able to have them on and then to be able to share them with you. And I hope that this episode is fun to listen to. Dan and I will we'll resume recording after the new year, and we'll have a regular schedule for you guys as well. Anyway, thanks, and Happy New Year.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Well, good evening, and welcome back to episode 7 of Spellstorm Miniatures. My name is Jeremiah, and with me I have Dan.
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Hey, tonight we have some very special guests. We have members of the Hillsborough Underground. And so, gentlemen, why don't you just say hi and just say your name real quick.
Hi, my name is Ethan.
Right on, thank you.
I'm Dan. That's to forgo confusion. I'll go by Daniel Prime, which is also my Discord handle.
Very good.
And this is Ron. I'm back again.
That's right. We had Captain Ron on episode 2, didn't we?
Oh yeah.
That's right. So tonight we're looking forward to having a roundtable discussion, and we just want to do a little bit of history of Hillsborough Underground. We're going to learn about their backstory, where the name comes from, and really, it really jumps off from episode 5 when we talked a lot about just building community, and this is one example of what community can look like in the tabletop wargaming world. We also want to do a little year in review for 2018, and then we want to just cast vision for 2019, what we hope to get out of the game and what we hope to do just with just in our own communities and things like that. So hey Daniel Prime, why don't you start first? Why don't you tell us a little bit about the backstory of Hillsborough Underground? Where does the name come from, and who are you guys, and what do you do?
So, Ethan and Ron and I have known each other for years and years. Like, Ron and I have known each other for 20 years, and Ethan...
21 now.
21, yeah. Ethan's a slightly more recent addition at like 15.
Yeah.
16 now.
16. So,
so basically Dan can't count? Is
yeah,
that what's going on?
that's,
Okay.
that's why I'm so good at War Machine.
Well, that's why they brought the Asian around, so I can keep them level on the map.
There you go,
Yeah,
the accounting.
yeah.
I love it.
So, but every time, like when I go out to tournaments, I don't regularly make shops. And so I go to a tournament and I don't do poorly. Like, I'm not the greatest War Machine player ever, but I do okay. I equip myself reasonably. And they look at me like, we don't know who you are. We expected you to be new. Where do you play?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, around? And so since I play with these guys all the time, like, I decided to create this, like, it's an underground scene by invite only.
It's true.
So
it is.
It's the Hillsborough Underground.
No, I love it. I remember when Ron invited me to, when he told me about the game after Mark III dropped, and he was like, I was like, hey, if I buy into this, will you play the game with me? And you said,
Oh yeah. I will definitely play with you.
And then immediately after, I got invited to Ethan's house. Ethan, who hosts. Ethan, how many years have you been hosting War Machine?
Ever since I got back into the Hillsborough area, actually. So around about 2 years now.
Oh, it's been longer than
Going
that.
on 3 now.
Going on 3? Okay.
Yeah,
So
but-
there we go. You guys.
But you're faithful. You're like every week hosting, right?
Yeah. Well, every week it's become a little bit like every other week now, but it's because everybody's kind of got their own thing going on these days.
Well, in some groups, like some D&D groups meet, weekly or every other week kind of thing. But you guys get together and you play War Machine. So, and me very rarely, as I was mentioning early before the podcast. Hey, co-host Dan, have you had a chance to play at Ethan's house yet?
Unfortunately, I haven't. It's always those Wednesday nights can get a little bit tough, but looking forward to one of these nights.
Nice, yeah. Ethan, why don't we just go ahead and start with you? Tell us a little bit about War Machine, your history in playing the game. What factions you play, that sort of thing. What drew you in, and what keeps you playing?
All right, so what drew me in was basically all my friends were playing, and I kind of got shoehorned into Crix because everybody else was playing. Everybody else was playing one of the other factions. The what, 4 that originally existed.
You poor thing.
Yeah, I know. Poor me.
I was gonna say, lucky you is what I think.
It was completely by everybody else's choice. Actually, it was by popular choice that I became the Crix player in our tiny little meta.
But you play more than Crix now, don't you?
Yes, I also play Retribution. I'm probably going to start getting into them again because,
they have new
Crix,
toys.
Well, yeah, they have new toys coming out, and Crix releases are going to seem to be getting further and further apart these days.
Okay. How about you, Daniel Prime?
So I have had an on again, off again relationship with War Machine. I am just a massive nerd. I play any game that involves dice, pretty much. So I got into my first battle box was Khador at the launch of Mark 1 because I'd been following the early RPG. So the war game came out. I bought in. And then something happened. I got distracted by a shiny, and I gave away my models and didn't come back until a little bit later. Toward the end of Mark 1, I picked up the Protectorate Battle Box, and that has been my faction ever since.
And you're one of those rare players who only plays one faction.
You know, at some point, like along the line, I picked up Legion because they were winning a lot more than Protectorate was, and I was looking forward to having the opportunity to have a faction that could actually alpha sometimes.
Yeah, bandwagon.
Yeah, no, it was totally a bandwagon choice. I'll own up to that. But then I got into a position where, like, I was in college, my employment was a little shaky, and I was just staring at my Legion models, wishing they were the new shinies for Protectorate. And so I converted them into the new shinies for Protectorate.
All right. How about you, Ron? We got a little bit of your history in episode 2. You've been playing from the beginning as well?
Yeah, I've been playing day one. Started off with the Signar battle box. It was all basically pretty random how we all came about our initial factions, and I stuck with Signar for quite a while. When Escalations came out, I already had the few Merc things that were already out there, so went into Mercs as soon as Escalations came out, when there was Merc casters. And then about a year after game launch, I decided to pick up Protectorate because at the time there was just a ton of Signar players, not many Protectorate players, and I tend to be a bit snowflakey. I like to play the not so popular options, so I played Protectorate for a long time, so about 14 years now. And they're actually,
and we can trust your math on that, right?
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, they're actually my main faction for tournament play for pretty much towards the latter half of Mark 1, majority of Mark 2. They were actually my tourney faction, and then Mark 3.
You got a little murky toward the end of Mark 2.
Yeah, I had some, but like I wasn't playing them for tournaments.
Fair.
For tournaments, it was Protectorate, and then Mark 3 came about. And Dan was getting really back into the game, so I kind of went back to my roots to Signar and Mercs. And for this last year, I've just been kind of really focusing on Mercs, or I'm sorry, for Signar, and then let the Mercs and Protectorate. And I have some minions in Scorn. Scorn was my primal faction when that launched, so those kind of took a backseat.
And co-host Dan, refresh our listeners. What factions do you play?
Yeah, sorry, you guys are coming in a little bit rough. I didn't quite hear that.
What factions do you play?
Oh, yeah, I'm up to a little bit too many factions I can keep under control right now. But no, mainly right now, again, I'm playing Trolls, Signar, Minions are kind of my wheelhouse, and maybe expanding a little more out soon.
Okay, very good. And then I'm jumping into Scorn in 2019.
Good man.
Yeah, all right. I'm leaving Khador for the moment, although those Doom Reavers are looking really nice.
Hey, they're both still red, so it's
This
all
is
good.
true. The paint scheme is very similar for me. So who else is part of the Hillsborough Underground? What other guys come out?
So
Guys and gals.
pretty much anybody that flies under the banner of some filthy casuals.
Okay.
Like that's our flagship team. Aside from that, anybody who wants to come out to Wednesdays pretty much earns an honorary membership to the Hillsborough Underground.
Nice.
It's Ron mentioned in the preamble, like before we actually started recording, his buddy Eddie, who plays Circle.
That's right.
My little brother, who also plays Circle. Aside from that,
Eddie also came in and got your picked up your Legion from you.
that's
And
right.
that's what
The
he
well-traveled
left me.
Legion
Yeah.
that came to me secondhand, and then went to Ron, and then went to Eddie. That Legion's been around.
I'm waiting for my turn.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And then technically Ethan's girlfriend Amanda has some trolls.
That's right.
But she hasn't
Yep.
really played in a while.
She is a member of the Hillsborough Underground. She
My-
comes out to Wednesdays.
My second
Yeah,
game.
she's there every week.
That's right. My second game ever was against her.
There you go.
I remember. So one of the things I want to touch on real quick is, our listeners, they come from kind of all over, and a lot of our listeners, most of them I think, are centered in the Pacific Northwest, and we are blessed to have a lot of game stores. We have Root and Board, we have the Portland Game Store, we have Guardian Games. We also have some stores up north in Olympia, or I'm in Tacoma area, and some stores down in Salem.
The Salem scening's getting a lot smaller.
Yes, I've heard, but there's a new store opening, and so hopefully the scene will kind of turn around a little bit. But I also know that there are a lot of players who play War Machine who don't have access to a store, and so what advice would you give a new player to the game who really enjoys the game, enjoys the aesthetic, doesn't mind hosting games or whatever? What advice would you give to like another group who wants to start meeting regularly in their home, and what does that look like?
So my first piece of advice is to get yourself a nice table to play on. And that involved because like we didn't know whose house we were going to land at for the first bit before we settled on Ethan's place consistently. If you go to essentially a lumber yard, you can find places that do full plywood, sections for you, and you ask for full length 4 foot by 4 foot sections cut down into 1 foot chunks. So like 4 1 foot by 1 foot squares.
Okay.
And you have to specify full length because otherwise it's short by like a quarter of an inch.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because unless it's specifically made for cupboards, I think it is. Like there's a specific industry that does the thing. Or
Before
two-
2x2s.
Yeah, 2 by 2. Sorry.
There we go.
Yeah,
Okay. Or two by fours.
I am the
Or-
best at math
Or
tonight.
8 1 by 1.
It depends on
if you
on
really
your
want to break it up.
it depends on your car. A lot of people have
There you
trouble
go.
fitting the full 2 foot by 4 foot lengths into their trunk.
Yeah.
So the 2 foot by 2 foot tend to be much more manageable. And if you get them full length, then you can set them. You just butt them up one against one another, and you have a full board to play on.
Okay.
And that
So
gives you-
logistics.
yeah.
Get a nice table. Get a board to play on.
Yep.
What else do you recommend?
Schedule it and plan to have 4 hours or so to play, either 2 games on the clock or 1 game off the clock.
Mm-hmm.
Like making that, making sure you have the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's important to make sure that you have like a few guys that you can count on to jump in with you. So, I used peer pressure and, got Ethan in with Crix, and, since me and Ethan were playing a lot, that roped Dan
We
back
were
into the
living
game.
together at the time, so it
Oh,
was,
you have roommates?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I mentioned we all go way back.
Yeah, you do.
Yep. So it helps to have people that you can see consistently, and then having that core group of guys that that are going to show up, and then you can kind of invite people to come in from there, and then kind of grow it out, and then
It's a solid point.
now we have enough. We could be playing 2 games now because we have Ethan just got a really nice gaming table recently, and then we still have the boards from before, so we
Nice.
can actually have 2 games going at once now, so, which is really nice.
Nice.
I just gotta find the space to set up
You got a floor.
Oh, fair. Okay,
We did it before.
that's true. Okay, so fair point. All right.
Hey, co-host Dan, you got any questions for our team here?
No, it's sounding good.
Nice. I just want to make sure that that you get in on the conversation. So, so we talked a couple weeks ago about building community, and I wanted to ask you guys because you guys are, you guys are a community, and you guys come out to the broader community. Some Filthy Casuals had a team at the I5 Team Championship in October, and then there were a 3-man version of that. Ethan and Ron and co-host Dan at the 3 Commanders in December. What value has being part of a gaming community brought to you in your life, and just like obviously something keeps you coming back. What is it that keeps you coming back?
Anybody want to jump in first?
Sure, I'll tackle
I was
this
expecting you to say, "I live here." No.
So, I think, there's an Ouroboros effect to community. When you build a community, the community builds you, and then you build the community. Ron and I met in high school and had a couple classes together. We participated in wrestling together, and he GM'd a bunch of fantastic games. We played Star Wars and 7th Sea, and we were friends. And so, like, when we picked up the Forbidden Game, we played a lot of Warhammer 40K together. So that's just like that core. When we transitioned into Warhammer Hordes, like, it keeps sort of that cycle going of we're friends, so we play together. So we're friends, so we play together.
I like that cycle.
Yeah, absolutely. And this game's been hugely important in my life. First of all, it's been a great way to stay connected with Dan all these years, for decades now, literally, and again with Ethan to remain engaged with him, even when he left for the Marine Corps for 5 years, and he came back, and we're ready to just jump right back into it.
Nice.
And even our friend Eddie, who's not here with us at the moment, like, he was one of my groomsmen, and I met him solely through playing this game. And so that's a story I hear all too often in all these podcasts and stuff that I listen to as well, is that really the community, the people are just great. And I'm really thankful for this game, that it introduced me to Eddie. I wouldn't have ever met him without this game, and it's just allowed me to stay in touch with these guys even now that I got a baby and I've become an adult somehow. I don't know.
You're becoming an old man now.
I know, right? Like, how am I legally responsible for someone else? That doesn't seem right. But yeah, it's crazy.
Teach her to play War Machine. That's all I got to say.
I will once she starts walking. So
there you go.
Back on me here. I'm trying to think of what the community really means to me. Basically, the game by itself is all well and good, but it's kind of like the people that you meet and the new experiences you get to play by, meeting new players, playing against them, seeing what they've come up with.
Yeah.
That's really kind of keeps me engaged in the game itself. Otherwise, I'd probably be like, whatever. There's lots of entertainment venues that I could pursue out there, but.
Right.
This from the guy who built gaming communities in the Marines to keep himself sane. I see you hiding over there.
You do what you have to do sometimes.
Yeah,
it's like sometimes the game is in you, and you want to get it out and spread it to other people. So, but again, it was once I built those groups in the core, it was pretty much those things that kept me going. Those were my rock when I was in there.
So it was a thing that you got out of gaming community?
Well, yeah, I guess we're going back to the Ouroboros effect that you were mentioning.
There we go. So, but you guys don't just play War Machine. You play other games too, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You mentioned the Forbidden game.
If anybody wants to buy like 2,000
no.
points worth of Eldar, totally sell that. But no,
It's
I
probably like 15 points worth of Eldar now.
yeah, that's fair. We're like 4 editions later, 5. Something,
Oh,
I don't know.
man.
Yeah.
Probably at least.
But yeah, we definitely. I think Ethan and I are involved in separate tabletop games. Ron's one of the best GMs I've ever met, but I don't think he's currently got a game.
The game is making sure my daughter doesn't kill herself because she's a baby.
That's fair.
Good. It's a good game. I hope you win that game.
Yeah. That one keeps me on my toes.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
Yeah. Well, you know, at Spellstorm Miniatures, you know, Dan and I, we started this podcast because we wanted to just kind of promote the community. We wanted to promote what was going on. You know, we just like you have made a lot of friends playing the game of War Machine, and our motto here is just to inspire people to play more games. And so I'm just, you know, I just hope conversations like this and, you know, and things like that help people to, you know, just really get engaged. So let's just like go back to War Machine and tell me like what your favorite part of the game is. Like this last year, do you have like a moment or memory that you have that was just amazing, or like one of those moments you'll never forget, or just something in general that you like about the game? What's your favorite?
Again, it comes to me.
You're the one who has the best story on this front, sir.
I do. Oh yeah. Oh,
I made a motion that you
the-
guys
the
can't
her-
see so as not to spoil the story.
Really good radio.
The heroic idiom. So I really so I enjoy coming up with what tactics I can, trying to figure out, you know, ways in which a couple of things mesh together, and then playing that to the hilt. But the other thing that I've been enjoying is my clock management was absolute garbo for the longest period of time. So I got to work on that and then bring that to I5, and just I don't know if that's sorry.
You're doing fine. You're doing fine. Which game you want to give him a?
So
you have a.
he knows what I'm talking about. He just doesn't know how to introduce it.
Yeah.
And
introduce it for him and let him tell it.
so this game, it was back and forth. Both players were coming down to time, and he decides to bet the farm on this assassination run.
I didn't really have too much of a choice. He had pretty much put me in a position where I didn't have anything else.
Was this against Legion?
No, this was against Retribution.
Oh.
So I was playing
Round 3?
Round
Round
two.
2, I think.
No,
it was.
Round 2. Okay, there we go. Okay. All right, now we're tracking.
That one was memorable for a few reasons. It came right down to the very last
Actually,
roll.
correction, no, it was round 3. I'm
It
sorry.
was- okay.
Oh, it was. Oh my. All right. Well, messed this story up, but let's try and keep it going. This one was memorable to me for a few reasons. One, I got to hear something I never thought I was going to hear from Jeremiah, which is a fun story we can tell maybe a little bit later. I don't want to bog this down.
Yeah, let's focus on you right now.
Oh, okay. So basically, he had just barely missed his assassination run against Scar 3, Boat Scar. And to get that assassination off, he had moved Ron up, Adeptus Ron up pretty close. So I was like, well, I got no choice. I got to try and kill you now. Couldn't knock him down. So just rolled up and rammed him to death. But the last roll being made right as the seconds were dwindling down, like everybody was wanting to tell me to get better on my clock management, to hurry up because I was about to lose the game on just from that. And very last roll, the very last damage roll was being made as the buzzer went off. So like,
Wow.
dice were in the air.
So he got the movie finish where he drops the dice out of his hand and like as they're falling, like beep. death.
That's like that's like Damian Lillard, the three, behind the arc and in the air.
Yeah, it was a buzzer shot. And a shout out, that was with Connor Sawyer, and he actually has a YouTube channel, and he has a little recap of that if anybody wants to check it out. He's actually got a really good channel where he does a really good recounting of his game. So I do recommend, especially if you're a rep player, because he's a rep player, check it out. He's got some good stuff in there.
Right on, good plug. That's pretty epic. That's pretty anxiety-inducing, though. I mean,
badly told, but it's a good story. Just take my word for it.
I believe you.
Yeah, for me, my happiest moment in War Machine was actually at I-5, and it was actually that round 3 because we actually won that round. Because I just went in with the hope that just everybody would win at least one game, and not only did everybody win at least one game, they won at least 2 games apiece, and we actually went 2-2,
which was a considerable improvement on last year.
Yeah, which was we had a bye and then 3 rounds that we lost. So, so that was I was really stoked, and I was just really happy, for my teammates, and proud of how everybody's improved, especially since you, Jeremiah, and you, co-host Dan, were a part of our team, and you guys being more newer players into the game, just seeing how far you guys have come. Dan with his clock management especially, just want to give you real props there, man. You really worked that. Learned how to play Maylock and take him to round 7, which is the key to that list. And Jeremiah just figuring out doing those Vlad assassinations that I was giving you the heads up on, like how those tools could work, and you figuring out how those pieces work together. So you guys did an awesome job honing those lists and practicing and really taking it to heart. So I was so proud of you guys, and Ethan as well, who hadn't had a chance to get out to many tournaments and whatnot. So even though he's been playing Crix for ages, the fact that he was able to bring it and pull out some victories too. So I was just that to me was it. It was not my accomplishments really, but it was just seeing how well the team did.
Yeah, I want to come back to that in a second. But I want to give Daniel Prime a chance to share like a memorable moment or your favorite, thing about the game or something.
I don't have a particular moment that stands out as the singular moment of greatness. I just the thing I enjoy most about this game is the next game. I like coming to a game and either facing a new opponent or opponent who has grown since the last time I faced them. And in fighting games we use a term called yomi, which is Japanese for reading your opponent. And so the games of I know that you know that I know, and that back and forth are the best. They are the reason I play. They're amazing.
I like that. Yomi. Learn a new term today. So, Ron, you just briefly touched on this for a second, and so I want to ask a new question, or maybe a same question just in a different way. What's it like when you make the journey from the dining room table to a tournament? You guys regularly meet, at Ethan's place, and you regularly play there, and but what's it like when you finally venture out and play in a public space?
That's a great question, Jeremiah. I know for me, of our group, I'm the tournament player. Really, I'm a pretty outgoing person when it comes to going out and just trying to play in new areas and whatnot, and I've made it kind of a point of pride and effort to try to go out, even to stores that are further out from where I normally play, to at least play and meet and talk to some of the people. So at least I think pretty much anybody in the Portland, Vancouver, Salem area are at least a little bit familiar with me, because I've played there at least once or twice or played in a tournament there. So I make a lot of effort to kind of get out, and I usually like to play in a tournament like once a month. I like having the exposure. I just love the game. So I'm a real tactician hound. I'm really dogged about list building and dojoing and being a sounding board.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So for me, it's just like, I'm just rabid. I'm just hungry. I'm just ready to just get in any games I can. And I even with as hectic as life has become, like I still and with the blessing of my wife, and she's doing awesome for letting me do this, but still find time to play a game like at least every other week, or try to go to a tournament once a month, so that way I can stay sharp and not get rusty.
Yeah. What about you guys, coming from the dining room to the public space?
It's not that much different. Like you get to meet new opponents.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's you get to be exposed to different people and different styles than you're used to, which sort of deepens you as a player.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, it's the same game. Like you just can't be intimidated. You roll out, you bring your stuff, you have a good game. And we keep saying it, and the patting ourselves on the back for War Machine being and Hordes being such a great community.
Yeah.
Like, you don't go to a tournament and encounter some jerk who's like, "Who are you?" Like, it's
no, I've never encountered that.
You go and you meet cool people and you play a fun game. Like, that's.
You want to add?
Okay, so for me personally, I love the tournament scene. What the every week game it basically kind of become for me was like, training, but to what end?
Mm-hmm.
Like, basically I was playing a lot of the same people again and again and again.
Yeah.
I played Ron so much that I'm like, well, he's gonna do this, he's gonna do this, he's gonna do this. I've started to
Yomi, right?
Yeah, Yomi, exactly. It's like,
and that's why I play different factions.
But it always starts at Ron. I'm gonna play Ron. It's gonna be a pain in the ass. He's gonna do this and this and this.
Yeah.
And you kind of like fall into these habits. So when you go out and you meet new people, you get to play against new people who have like different ideas, different strategies that they're bringing to the table. It's just like the world just seems to like expand exponentially from like the little dining room table that you're used to, or that you've cut your teeth on, that you've trained at for however long.
Yeah. One of the things that was interesting for me when I was when I first was playing at your house, it was untimed. We didn't have clocks, and I was listening to a podcast or something, and I happen to be I coach chess, and so I have chess clocks at the school and everything, and so I think I was the one who brought a chess clock. No, I mentioned it.
I bought the chess clock
You
we
bought
use,
it.
but which is really funny because I have a reputation for hating clocks.
I know, which is the irony is rich, but
it's only because it's true.
Yeah, well, yeah, but like, but I remember
start that argument.
But I remember like, the first couple of games, at your house, and and clocking out, like, it's just because that's a whole nother skill.
So like, clock management is a critical skill for Warhammer Hordes. Like, knowing how to operate while you are on the timer is vital. If you don't, you will lose. But at the same time, all of the other pieces of the game can't be neglected either. So playing off the clock is expansive. Like, you learn new strategies.
Yeah.
Playing on the clock teaches you to see which of those strategies is the best for the moment faster.
Yeah, you learn ranking.
It's expansive versus reductive.
Priorities, I guess, not ranking.
So both of those are valuable ways to practice.
Yeah. So co-host Dan and I, we sort of have our own dining room table. We play every other Monday. It's kind of our rhythm right now. And then on the off weeks, we record an episode for the podcast. And so, and when I play at the house, I'm definitely way more casual. Like when it, I feel like I'm slower sometimes, and I don't think of it as serious, and I don't know why. Do you guys ever get that where like you don't feel the same pressure playing at the house, or versus?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's something that I can really relate to. Like, after a certain point, it's just like, again, you've played the same people enough, and you kind of like have an idea of where the game is going to go and how the rhythm of the match is going to continue to play out. And it's kind of like, all right, I see where I've messed up. I could try to salvage this situation, or we can like try and pose another question with the time that we have, ahead of us. So, and the option to do that is still is great and all, but you can kind of lose track of the pressure that you want to be feeling, in order to like really take the game to its ultimate conclusion. You know, you want to
Yeah.
you want to get to the end, to get to the end state of how everything had played out.
Closing games is definitely another of those skills, like knowing how to close out a game.
Yeah, I can completely agree with that.
And as much as I tease Dan about playing off the clock, most of our games we play off the clock, just casually, because we just like to have a good time. We get distracted by, conversations. We have a lot of history with one another, so
Yeah.
we have a lot of
Well, that's part of the community
conversations.
side. That's the fun side too.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So as much as I tease him about it, we just have different views on the approach to the game. I believe in playing. It's more important to play pretty good instead of perfect, and Dan's definitely that perfectionist. He wants that
Yeah.
Kaizen, wants to optimize everything, which I can respect.
Right.
But perfection is something that will kill you on the clock.
What's actually kind of funny is that most of my clock management techniques I learned from Dan giving me little ideas to practice on my own and set up
Same here.
options.
So while I am not the captain of some filthy casuals, I am the coach.
Very good. Very good. Well, we want to get you on the field next year.
Yeah, that's the idea. This year I got married.
Also good. Well, I know.
game.
Yeah, totally different game. I know that over the years I have received some fantastic advice from all of you guys. So I think you guys have a great thing going. Let's kind of shift gears a little bit and start thinking forward. 2000. This episode is going to drop probably the last day of the year. It's kind of a filler episode in between Christmas and New Year's, and Dan and I have a lot of great topics coming up after the new year, and we're gonna have some good guests on to talk about those topics and stuff. But
in the meantime, you have us.
in the
we're
meantime,
here.
well, no,
The filler crew.
I did not intend that the way that you. Good catch. So
we
my.
are some filthy casuals.
It's fair.
Yeah,
This week we
that's
have
all
some
we
filthy
are.
casuals.
We're just casual.
Hey.
So what are you looking forward to next year? Like, do you have some personal goals that you want to achieve? Is there something that you're very excited about doing? And maybe are you jumping into a new faction? Or are you jumping back into an old faction? What are you looking forward to personally for next year? And what do you want to see the Hillsborough Underground do next year?
Well, I'm going to totally ninja Dan's answer, and I'm looking forward to Infernals dropping. And my goal is to be at Lock and Load and actually get in on it.
Dibs.
So half of us are going to be playing Infernals at least.
Yeah, and then the at least 3 Infernal players arise from within the underground.
And Ron and I will be playing Morrow on.
Yeah, and I'm gonna
Oh,
call
wow.
it now. I have a feeling that Morrow's gonna drop as a theme. My gut's telling me it's gonna be a Signar theme, and it's gonna be the Demon Hunter theme, and we're gonna bring Signar back. So
I think you're mostly right. I'm calling Mercs.
Merc's already getting the Steelhead theme, man, and they already have 6 other themes. So I think Signar could use that 5th theme, and they already got the Partisan Morrowind stuff. So I can see storyline wise the church kind of seizes more control of it, because Stryker did his job and pretty much purged all the Menites out of Signar. So he did that for a few years. So storyline wise, especially with the with the upcoming events, I could definitely see the church becoming a big forefront, Order Illumination and all of that. So I know I'm getting kind of fluffy in there. But yeah, as far as for my personal goals, sorry, Dan. Yeah, I got a lot of
Everyone's
goals. Yeah. So for me, I5 is always number one. I think it's so fun, the team
That's the
format.
apex.
Yeah, that is something that I put as, I'm gonna make it work no matter what. I'm gonna make that work and fit that in, and yeah, I love planning and
Are we
ripping
going to
and
field
going for
2
that.
teams is the question.
I hope so, because we need to have some filthy casuals and some more filthy casuals.
That would be awesome.
That is the goal there. But aside from that, I do plan on going to Lock and Load. I do plan on playing in the Masters. So I'm going to shoot to try to win Masters and get into IG and win that thing too. So,
Nice.
I'm going to put that on record. Is it going to happen? We'll see. I'll either do it or I'll get real drunk. So, we'll figure it out.
Or you'll get real drunk and do it. Who knows?
Yeah, they're not mutually exclusive. So that's true.
So 2018, I already sort of mentioned I got married. Like that whole year went away. People don't tell you that that's actually really pretty time consuming.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, for the 3 commanders, Ron's like, you should go to one tournament this year. I'm like, I've been to tournaments this year. And he's like, yeah? Which ones? And I was like, oh. Huh.
Awkward.
Yeah. So 2019 is my I'm going to get a little more serious about the game year.
Nice.
That's going to be, I'm going to talk, Ron mentioned the cadence of going to a tournament a month, like playing games more regularly, getting those reps in. And that's going to be my 2019. I'm going to try to play a little more around. I might try to make a couple tournaments in Eugene. Maybe I'll make it as far as Bend. We'll see. Just to see where there are scenes, who's playing, to try to get as much.
I talked to a couple of the Bend guys, I think actually at the 3 commanders.
Yeah, I know Connor was there along with some of his, well, at least one, his 2 of his other teammates.
I think they're a lot like you guys. I think that one guy has a really big garage and they have several tables set up. Their issue over there is they don't have a store that like champions them, and so I mean they can get stuff, but I think they mostly play in one of the garages.
I think you guys could probably do a whole episode on War Machine and stores. Like I've noticed that there's definitely like a weird relationship there.
For some stores, that's true.
I don't know what the big deal is about stores. I've been doing the Amazon thing for a long time. Don't get me wrong, my army has cost a lot more than a lot of people's, but still, it's it's possible.
That's the issue. Like, for any miniatures game, it takes up a lot of space, and the turnover on the product isn't very high. So, like, the return on investment is it's not a huge profitable market, except for maybe if your store is the flagship store for getting stuff, and even then, like, it probably isn't. You're gonna make more money and take up less space with like card games and things like that.
Definitely.
And then it's just a matter of you have a limited amount of store space. How much do you want to devote to a product that's not flying off the shelves? So I can understand it from a business standpoint. I do think we're very fortunate that we do have several stores that do champion it, and that you present us an option of a place that we can play as well on occasion, which is huge. And then Ethan, hosting is great. Yeah. Normally I wouldn't mind, but I got a baby, so.
Yeah.
So that's my plan for 2019 is to play more games. Hey,
I love it.
Tag.
I love it.
That's perfect. Dan, you want to jump in?
For me, no, not in particular.
Okay.
No goals?
Yeah. As far as goals, I guess. I mean, thought we kind of covered it in the last. Going to lock and load, of course, would be really entertaining and fun. Even on my smaller scale, getting into a steamroller, a couple more of those, and maybe winning one would be nice. I'll start off kind of small. I have no grandeurs of crushing Iron Gauntlet or anything, but hey. It is a dice game, right?
Ambition.
A little bit of luck.
That's right. I think all of us are going on record now. No.
Yeah.
We want to win.
I'll give it a couple years, put in the time. Mainly it's just, again, that expansion, that learning, especially learning a lot of the different factions, trying to actually play against everyone so far. Like I said, getting the games against Crix and Grimkin, and especially the Circle now and everything is just really building that knowledge base to be able to play better games, kind of build better lists.
I definitely have. My desire this year is to actually focus on 1 or 2 casters in Scorn. Like,
which ones?
So I'm kind of doing the research on that right now.
Oh, okay.
So I'm thinking Makeda might be on the short list. Zal's on the short list, and we'll see. But I've been asking around some of my Scorn friends, and
Morgul.
that I really want Morgul to be on the list, but I heard the learning curve is high.
I love Morgul too.
I know
I really do. Like he's my bro.
We could talk, but I think it goes back to the idea of not being so scattered and just kind of focus. And I don't have any goals for achievements. My achievement is actually to record a certain number of games. You know, and I do the app thing. I do the Battle Reporter app and things like that. So, yeah.
Has that been helping you? Have you been learning from your records?
I do. I actually go back and I look at them, and I look at the way that I've won or the way that I've lost, because I record things in there like whether I was player 1 or player 2, what turn it was. Of course, I keep a written journal as well. And so the difference is I can see it quicker on the app.
Sure, but the question is, has there been a payoff? Have you noticed that, like, oh, when I go second, I'm not doing as well, I need to shore that up, or oh, I'm bad at this scenario in particular? Or... Right.
So no, the data, I still feel like I have a small sample size.
Sure.
To mine through, but I do notice that I play games in trends. And so like my last several victories have all been assassinations.
I was about to say, like, assassination. Jeremiah will kill you.
Yeah, which is like not the way that I want to play. You know what I mean? And so, but that's how it's happened. And so, and I shared about how the last 2 happened, which is regrettable. But start looking for that. I think I look for it too soon as kind of an out, and so that's the big learning for me right now versus some of the more details that you just asked about.
So have you listened to the most recent Party Foul podcast?
No, I think I'm behind.
Ron actually recommended it on the Hillsborough Underground. They have an absolutely amazing breakdown of like what to do at different stages of the game and sort of how to plan at pre-deployment, and that kind of setup, that foundation is how you don't go, oh, I have no options, guess I better assassinate.
And I actually did listen to that. I should listen to it again.
It's super good.
Yeah, and then just to kind of chime in, I think just kind of as a natural progression on how to learn the game, learning, how assassination works and doing it, I think for people that are getting started in the game and that are a little bit newer, that is easier to yield results. It's
usually the first step,
because
definitely.
even if it's like a 20 or 30% assassination, that means 20 to 30% of the time you're going to win the game. And when you're going from 0 to 20 to 30%, that's a marked improvement. Yeah. If you really want to practice getting better at winning without doing it, don't go for assassination. Yeah. Only play scenario. Force yourself to play that. That's how you're going to learn positioning. That's how you're going to learn how scenarios work. Yeah. How to apply pressure, how to bait, how to counterattack. That's how you develop those skills. And that takes a lot of time and practice and reading the opponent, reading
a lot of Wednesdays at Ethan's, right?
Exactly. So that's not to sound too preachy, but that's the way to do it. And that's honestly for me, I love it. I love that challenge. So.
Yeah. So let's see. We have a few events coming up in the Portland area. There's going to be the event that's taking place on December 29th in Salem, that new store that's opening. You can find information on that on COG Collective. Any of you guys planning on going to that one? It's a Saturday event.
I'll have to check my schedule.
The holidays are kind of a dicey time frame for me.
Very good. The next day, on the 30th, is going to be the wrap up of the Portland Journeyman League, and I think Ben is opening that up to anyone, even if you did not participate in the Portland Journeyman League. Sundays are a little hard for me, so I won't be going to that one. And then Chad is going to be running Scramblers at Runenboard on January 6th, and so I want to encourage you to come out for that. And that's way to. Because Scramblers are just, two games at the most, right?
Yeah, it's 2 rounds, 1 list is the traditional Scrambler format. I was planning on attending that one because there's a new store opening in Salem, if I can get the goodwill from the wife, which I don't know if I'll be able to swing that.
Sure.
But that would, I'd probably shoot for that because I definitely want to kind of support like a brand new store opening up and just make a strong presence. Plus, it's been a little while since I've gone down to Salem. Like, it's been a few months, so I like to get around, as I mentioned before. So that I'll see what I can do about that. But I was originally planning on doing that event on the 6th.
Very cool.
Not to mention, these guys usually have an easier time of peer pressuring me into that because it's right in my backyard.
That's right. You have a very little excuse there. You should go.
Yeah, I'm just like, Dan, do it. Do it.
Yeah, if you're not working, go for it. So, and then, see, January 14th, the Masters League takes place. And I love the way that they're doing the Masters League. They put you in pods, and you have a certain amount of time to play all of your games in that pod. And then whoever emerges victorious in that pod is who goes on to the actual tournament. And so, like, I remember last year in the Masters League, I played a game at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday against Wes at Guardian Games or something, because I think it was Wes, because that was when we can get our game in, and it totally counted, right? And so I like that flexibility. So I want to encourage anyone who has not participated in the Masters to at least do that. So, and I know you have some flexibility in your schedule towards the end of the week, right?
Oh, okay. I have an odd schedule where I'm working like 4 days one week, 3 days the other one. So weekends are either Saturday is either good or Saturday not so good. So
that's true. Yeah.
Only no give on that. So
Any closing thoughts? We're gonna wrap this up, I think.
Want to do a bonus segment on, and Jeremiah can tell the story from I5?
Oh, the bonus segment. Okay. All right. I will tell the story, but you have to do the punchline.
Okay, I can do that. I'll do that.
All right. So this is round 3. We determined. So this is the last round of the day on day 1, and I'm playing a Signar player, and I have my Vlad 1 Jaws list, and we're playing the scenario with the 2 rectangles and the 2 objectives in the middle. Help me out with the name on that one. The pit? I don't know.
No, that isn't the pit.
Yeah. I guess it doesn't matter.
No, I think we were playing Invasion.
Was it Invasion? Okay. So it was, he had 2 of the...
I'm sorry. No, I remember now. It was Recon. It was Recon 2.
Recon 2. There we go.
There you go.
And so he had 2 of the battle engines, and they were just kind of tearing me up. And I was trying to position and challenge, and and I think I was able to get 1 or 2 CP, but I was like losing pieces trying to contest, and so that he wouldn't get any CP, and so Haley 2, I think, was the caster. Moves Haley up in front of his objective, and then there were several jacks in the way and different things like that. But there was just the right alley for Vlad, and so what do? I assassinate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness! And so I cast Blood of Kings, and I charge, and I withstand 2 free strikes. I'm fine, and it's bye caster. But it was after the realization that just happened that I said,
"Oh, okay." So we can cut over to my viewpoint. So we're midway through Scar 3 versus Adeptus Ron, right around the center of my turn, I believe, and I'm marking something down and listening to my opponent as we're kind of doing a little bit of back and forth. We're not playing super fast. It's been a long day, everybody's kind of tired, and I hear off to the side there's a little bit of raised tones, a little bit of
You described it to me as the teacher voice.
the teacher voice. Yes.
"Oh,
So it sounded like Jeremiah was catching some flack for the way he won. Then I hear, "So you lose."
And I was like, it stood out enough because, you know, Jeremiah is this absolutely sweet and sunny guy. And suddenly I hear the notes of shade being cast. So I'm like, make a note to talk to Jeremiah about that.
Oh, man. I don't even remember saying that.
Mid-game. It broke through my haze into my own game, and I was like, that's worth talking about.
Dude, the tables turned so fast on that game because it was downhill for me, and then all of a sudden that one little sliver of hope, and I was in shock. And so I can't take any responsibility for anything I said or did in the few minutes after that happened.
Yeah, and hearing the story now, just a slight critique. Vlad 1 has parry, so you shouldn't have taken any free strikes.
See, know your rules.
Yep.
I'm terrible at this game. Well, I really appreciate this conversation. I thank you guys for coming out and just being part of the Spellstorm Miniatures podcast project that we got going on here.
Thanks for having us. Definitely.
Yeah.
Anytime, brother. To. Anytime.
Yeah. We'd love to have you back again. The thing that Dan and I want, like I said earlier, is we just want to foster community, and so we want to promote the people that are in our community. And Dan, any final words before we sign off?
So again, appreciate you guys, and we'll have Ron on again when he's drunk and won Iron Gauntlet.
That's right. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm going to pull a Corey Doyle, and I will be pantsless. Mark my words.
Oh. Good thing it's radio.
There we go. Anyway, it's great. And for those of you that are listening to this, it's going to be right around the new year. And so we want to wish you a happy new year playing War Machine and Hordes and all the other games that you play too. So thanks, everyone. Good night.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.